recording on. Thank you to everybody for joining us. We were just kind of discussing the importance of financial literacy in general and, budgeting specifically, which I always kind of refer to as telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. But this is probably one of the most important topics and most applicable takeaways that you guys can get from this camp. So appreciate you jumping on and appreciate our friends from Dollar Bank sharing. So Dollar Bank came on just this year as a new partner. They made a generous financial contribution, which allowed 50 students to attend at no cost, which is amazing. And then even probably more importantly, which has been the case with a lot of our partners, is they've also got involved in the programming. So, we are able to hear from some experts today on a very, very important topic and something that you guys can apply and learn from. So thank you to Dollar Bank for their support. First, I want to introduce Frank Buonomo, who's the VP of Public Affairs. Frank and I have known each other for a long time. We were teammates at Rutgers on the hockey team. And then Frank wound up interning for the New York Rangers and consequently getting hired, and then put me in a position to interview for that internship the following year, which has been amazing. So Frank worked in hockey in the NHL for about 20 years. And is now with Dollar Bank as the VP of Public Affairs. And I'll kick it over to you in a second. And then we've got Emily Burkart and Kristia Hurley, who are branch managers, Emily in Pleasant Hills and Kristia in Lebanon, Pennsylvania. And I tell you, our experiences in the Pittsburgh market have been absolutely fantastic. We were, originally planning on delivering this content in person, and Frank was able to connect us with the folks from communities and schools and a bunch of other groups who really did a great job of promoting the camp. We've got a huge contingent from Pittsburgh and specifically in Pennsylvania in general. So again, thank you to everybody. So Frank, if you want to, maybe take a couple minutes kind of to talk about in general, just, what your role is and more why Dollar Bank sees the importance of partnering with sports properties and why you support nonprofits like ourselves. And then we'll kick it over to Emily and Kristia and let the fun begin.
For sure. First of all, thanks for everyone who attending, and thanks to Emily and Kristia too for being involved and jumping right in when asked to participate. And they have an incredible passion for teaching young folks the importance of financial literacy, and it's something that's near and dear to our heart here at Dollar Bank. I want to thank Jeff and Patrick, who started this camp last year in one market in Charlotte, and now it's grown to I believe it is 9, or is it 8, Jeff?
We would have been in 9 different markets.
So, yeah. So 9 different markets. And as Jeff alluded to, I spent a long time working in the National Hockey League over the course of 22 years. And what I saw, athletes in general coming into, as rookies, as maybe first or second year players, typically athletes get everything done for them, and they don't have to necessarily, do things that, you would normally grow up doing. I had guys come into my office and ask for X, Y, Z, and you'd give it to them, okay, and they get on their way. But they never really truly learn some days, or some athletes really, how to do things for themselves. And what I found is that, guys had agents that were managing money, or they had financial folks managing their money, and they never really learned at a younger age the importance of how to do those things. So that's why it's incredibly important, I think, to teach all children, all kids at many different age levels, the importance of financial literacy and managing their money and how to do that, how to budget, understand how things affect their credit. So it was really interesting to see over the course of the many years in hockey that, younger players just weren't educated there. And so, when I started at Dollar Bank, Jeff and I began talking about this program, and it just, we do so much in the community here at Dollar Bank. on our community development side and education and first-time home buyer programs. And, and things to really give back to our community from the financial literacy side. And as I said, Emily and Kristia do countless speaking engagements and teachings in school just on this exact topic. So it's incredibly important to us. I will be quiet now and listen and learn as well, and love to turn it over to Emily and Kristia. So thank you guys again.
You're welcome. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you, Jeff, and thank you, Frank, for thinking about us. We're really excited to jump on board. So we're just going to jump right into it, if that's okay with everyone. Usually when Krista and I teach these classes, we like to introduce ourselves first, so you have a little bit of a background. It's important for us that we know where you're coming from right now. We've been where you are. So we're really here to guide you and give you advice the best we can. I graduated my undergrad from California University of Pennsylvania with a bachelor's in business, and I graduated from Ashford University with an MBA in organizational leadership. And I've been with Dollar Bank now for just about 9 years.
And I'm Kristia Hurley. I graduated from Robert Morris University with a major in business management and a minor in psychology. And I've also been with Dollar Bank since I graduated for about 9 years. So,
Okay.
I'm going to start us off with the budgeting piece.
So we're going to get started with the budgeting piece. One thing that I just wanted to show you guys really quickly before we get started, because we're going to try and make this as interactive as we possibly can with all of you. So if you look up, mute and stop and start your video, you'll see a button that says annotate. Within there, if you click annotate, you'll be able to put text in our screen, put check marks. If we ask certain questions, you can put check marks. It is a really cool feature because it allows for us to be interactive with you. So when we get to the screen where we might ask you to annotate something or to answer something, you would use that function there if you choose to do that. And we have the ability to clear it from our screen as well to go on to the next one. So I like to
Emily, can you describe very quickly once again how to do that?
Yeah, so you should have a bar where you're mute, stop, start video, participants, question and answer, that there's a screen. The second one to the end says annotate. And if you click that, it gives you the ability to insert text, or what we'll probably use the most is stamp, where you can pick a stamp to put your answer within the screen. So anybody can do that if they have the annotate button up.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure. It's a really fun feature, and it gives us the ability to be a little more interactive with each other. So I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bigger for us. And our first topic that we're going to be talking about is budgeting. So let me just see if I can get this to start for us. There we go. Okay, so our first topic we're going to talk about is budgeting. And I like to start off with an example. This is a fun example. So we talk about, I'm sure all of you pre-quarantine times spend a lot of time eating dinner out with your families, stopping at McDonald's or Dunkin' Donuts on the way to work, for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and even some snacks in between. That's me, I'm the snacker in between. So this is an example. So if you ate breakfast, lunch, and dinner on the go, you could easily spend about $35 a day. So it gives you the example here that if you stop at McDonald's on the way, that's $5. Lunch, you stop at Subway, it's about $10. You spend $20 at Eaton Park, that's $35 in the day. I don't know about anybody else who's watching, but I never added up what I spent like that. So it was kind of a shock, and this may be a number shock to you as well. So my question to all of you is, what can you buy at the grocery store with that same $35 that you spent in one day. So just think about that before I bring up a grocery receipt. So think about $35, you go to Giant Eagle, Walmart, whatever grocery store you go to. So with that little bit that you spent on one week's worth, ramen for weeks, that's right, absolutely. So here's an example. So you have some skillet dinners, some popcorns for snacking, spaghetti, meat sauce. So you have pretty much everything. There's our ramen there. So you probably have, and I'm just looking at this from, my mom view here, you probably have about 5 meals in here, along with some stuff to pack a lunch. So that is an example that we like to give, because when you're talking about budgeting and you're talking about meal planning, food is going to take up most of your budget depending on the size of your family. So this is just an example of, what a receipt might look like with that same $35. So next we're going to move on to cell phones. Everybody has a cell phone, right? So cell phones have gotten much more expensive over the years. Many more features many more cell phones that everyone wants, that are the hot cell phones, the iPhone 11s and 10s. And I'm not even really sure what number or letter we're on with the iPhone at this point, but this is an example that we like to give, because young kids, we realize and we understand how important it is for a younger child, with the way the world is right now, to have a cell phone. So if you look at where you would go for your Verizon or your Sprint or your T-Mobile, wherever it is you go for your smartphone with a 2-year contract, the average monthly cost can be between $100 and $180. Yearly, that adds up to be about between $1,200 and $2,160 a year. So if you would think on the other end of that, for your child to have a phone, you can do a no contract phone, which is, I'm not sure if they still do it with minutes or if they do it where you buy the cards, but you're cutting your monthly cost down between $25 and $50, and it's about $300 to $600 a year, and there you're saving within your budget nearly $1,000, if not more. So I think this is a good example that we like to give when you're thinking about your budget and what goes inside of your budget, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Cable bills, that's another thing. This is one thing that Krista and I get a lot of people, I want the biggest package, the biggest Comcast package there is, with all the channels and all the sports channels and all that. That can cost you up to $2,400 a year for the cable packages. If you choose a HD TV antenna, it's usually about $20, and there's no yearly cost, no monthly cost. Another thing that's not added in here, that you have your low cost Netflix and Hulu's and Amazon TV and all of that stuff, that is also a good choice, because it's typically a much less monthly payment than the $120 to $200. So something to think about when we're talking about our budgets and you're putting your budget together later for us. Am I going too fast? Is that a good pace for everyone?
That's a good pace.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to move on to this next slide. Clothing, that's another hot topic that we like to talk about when we're making our budgets, especially with high school kids. Needs versus want. And so this is something that I want everybody to really think about before we go into talking about budgeting and making a budget. And it's definitely something we talk about with our customers of all ages here at the branches, is needs versus wants. And I'm sure everybody's heard this before. But so a need is something you have to have, something you need to have, something you must have to survive on a daily basis. And a want is something you would like to have, but don't necessarily need it to get through the day. So when we're talking about needs, we're talking about a roof over your head, a home, enough food and water to maintain your health, basic health care and hygiene products, toothbrush, toothpaste, body wash, shampoo, all that kind of stuff. Clothing. And when we say clothing, we mean just what you need to maintain comfort and to be appropriately dressed. So we're not, when we think about clothing, we think about shoes. I'm sure everybody wants the brand new pair of Yeezys out there, but it's not necessarily a need. That would be something that you want. Something you would want would be something like a big house. We all want that, right? Our super big house where we have tons of room and there's no, things stacking on top of each other. Designer clothes, which we just talked about. Any fancy goods, a new car, video games, and a new cell phone. These are things that you want, and we certainly say don't not want things, but wants are something that we should work towards and save towards. You want to focus on your needs first before going into your wants. So then that gets us into the next part of our budgeting plan, which is establishing a savings plan. Does everybody have a savings plan or some sort of savings account established with their checking account? Good. It's so important. Even if you can't put a whole ton of money in it every month, we always recommend that you try and save at least 10% of your pay. And also when you get into your careers, it's really important to ask them about their retirement savings plans because it gives you the opportunity to start saving for your future at a young age. And that's critical. They say that, by 32, you should have a established retirement savings plan, to make sure that you are looking good for the future. Dollar Bank actually offers a program, our Pay Yourself First program, where we will automatically help you save this 10%, where we'll actually do it for you into your savings account. So that's a really great product that we like to promote and push with our checking and savings accounts because it's so important. And then we like to talk about some budgeting tips before you go in to make your budget. So carry only small amounts of cash so you will not spend it all. This is a huge one because I think we're all victim of if we have a ton of money in our wallets, we think, oh, I can afford this. Or I can, it's no problem, I have this extra money. If possible, have your paycheck directly deposited into your checking or savings account. Or like Kristia and I like to recommend to our customers, split it. Split some, most companies will allow you to put 50% into your checking and 50% into your savings, or 75-25, whatever you're able to afford at that time. Put your credit cards away. It's not free money, especially when you're looking at the high school age. You're going to come out of high school, you're going to graduate, and you're going to get hit with a ton of flyers and brochures and offers in the mail. It is so important that you just take those offers and push them aside or throw them away because it's not free money, and those typically have higher interest rates on them as well. If you absolutely have to use a credit card, we recommend that you pay them on time to avoid additional interest and late fees. Dollar Bank offers something called our secure credit card, where we'll actually help you get your credit established, and it reports to all the credit bureaus, and it doesn't allow you to be able to go out and spend what you don't have. Don't go shopping just for the fun of it. I know we're all victim of it. We all love it, but try and focus on shopping just for the things that you need. Take a written savings goal with you as a reminder. So when we go back to talking about wants and needs, if you really want those designer shoes, remember that when you're going shopping. Remember what you're trying to save for. So that's a good reminder of what you need. Only write down the things that you need. Don't buy things just because they're on sale. I saw a lot of people say this, use coupons to save money, coupons that you can cut, e-coupons. I know that there are a lot of programs out there that help you get money back or have certain time periods where you can get money back for purchasing from that store at that time. We talked about taking your lunch to work or school with you instead of eating all 3 meals out all day. Cut down on variable expenses such as clothing, entertainment, or other extras. Definitely always pay your bills on time. You want to pay all your bills before you have any money to go out and plan for social events or for design, your designer clothings and all that stuff. Plan how much you'll allow yourself to spend when you're talking about social budgets and stick to it. If you know that there's a concert coming up that you really want to go to, that's fine. Put the money aside for that, but maybe don't do a concert and the new movie that's coming out to drive through that weekend, or, two bigger events in 1 month. That will help you to save and still have fun and not limit yourself, but allow you to still be able to save money and have money for the things that you need. So this is a daily budget tracker. You're welcome to print this out or to screenshot this, whatever you need to do. But when you're building a budget, it really helps give you an idea of what did I spend my money on today and how much did I spend? And it gives you the opportunity to go back and say, okay, did I really need that? If I take that away, can I limit what I'm spending? So when you're making your budget, it helps you to know, it kind of helps you to be more aware of those needs and wants. So this is a great tool. I use it myself on a daily basis. And a lot of my customers use this on a daily basis when we're building their budgets. So everyone is welcome to this tool. The money adds up. So like we were just talking about, some more examples, a daily cup of coffee. And trust me, I am a victim of this, pulling into Dunkin' Donuts every day to get your coffee. But what you don't realize is how much it adds up, almost $1,500 a year. Buying a daily lunch, $2,700 a year. Books and magazines, $520 a year. The lottery, that's a big one. We have a lot of customers who we have to talk about this with because they just don't realize how quickly you can get brought into the lottery world and overspending. So maybe allow yourself one Dunkin' Donuts trip a week and make your coffee, in your Keurig. One, Friday's your lunch day. That's the day you're going to go out to have lunch, and you can really form it to what you want and what you need. So this is actually what we use to build budgets for our customers. So this is something that you can definitely print out. You can do it multiple times. A lot of people do their budget and then they have to redo it and redo it and redo it until it works for them. So you would put your take-home pay, earner number 1, and if you have a second person in your home who, is earning or has money in that same account, you would put your take-home pay, and then other income. So if you receive any income, if you do any side jobs like Uber, or if you have child support or any alimony or anything like that, that would go in there. And then what you do is you go down the list and you would put in your mortgage and your rent, your credit card payments, your home equity loans, your car loans, your insurance premiums, and all of these other kind of fields here. You would just put what your actual is and put what your variance is in here. Because sometimes we kind of save money for, bills like gas and electric, and it's not as much as we thought it would be that month. So you'll have variance. So we have, gives you a little bit of room to move some money around. The second page talks about your utilities, your transportation, your other expenses. Then what you're going to go down here is you're going to
can you explain what a variance is before we move on?
Yeah. So you're going to put your totals here. Now with your variances, so Krista asked if we could explain what the variance is. So what it would be is, say your heat is $50, you project $50, but it was actually $40, you would have a plus $10 variance here. So that would just be, we overshot by $10. So your variance would be over in this, portion here. A lot of times I tell my customers just to put the variance back in their savings account, because gas and heat and water and sewer, they can all fluctuate 1 month, but the next month they could be up a little bit. So I never want to say that your variance money is something that you could put towards your social expenses. So this is a really great project to do with your family. It really makes you aware of how much you need to spend versus what you want to spend. So I recommend printing this screen out if you can and doing this with your families. Again, you may have to do it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, but it is a really great way to keep a budget, and this is what we use for our customers when we are setting up budgets with them. So I would like to, if we could, use that annotate feature that we were talking about and do a check mark if you think it's a need and a heart if you think it's a want. So we're going into designer clothes. Do we think that's a need or a want?
I mean, I'm not sure that too many people have the annotate tool. I don't seem to have it on mine.
Oh, okay. Oh, I apologize for that. So we'll just, maybe Jeff, if it's okay with you, they can use the chat.
Absolutely.
Okay, so designer clothes. Is that a need or do we think that's a want? Absolutely, it's a want. Rent, is that a need or a want? Need. Yes, everyone got that, definitely. You need a home. Utilities. Perfect. A car to get to work. Definitely, it's a need. A car, and we didn't say here a new car to get to work. We just kind of put a car to get to work to make it that it's understood that it's a need. Our most premium cable package. Great. A Caribbean cruise. I'm sure we all feel right now that that's a need. Cigarettes. Perfect. Childcare. Definitely, definitely. Eating a meal out. School expenses. So that would be any sort of college books, book bags, anything like that. Need. And Chris and I usually get a lot of pushback about this one. How about our Xbox? Xbox is a want. Perfect. So I'm glad that everybody understands needs versus want. It definitely gives you the opportunity to think about those things in your life and, you know, really break down what you need when making a budget. So at this point, does anybody have any questions about budgets before we move on to the next part of the presentation? So if anybody has any questions or wants to talk about a budget or even needs help preparing a budget, at the end of the slide, you'll get Krista and I's email and our phone numbers. We'd be happy to walk you through it. We'd definitely be happy to help you prepare that budget. But for now, I'm going to pass it over to Krista so she can talk about managing your personal credit. If she's ready.
I know that you guys had some trouble hearing me before. Is it a little bit better now? Jeff, Emily, good?
It's a little bit better, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to talk about credit. Emily already touched on the fact, especially all of you high school students, when you get into college, there will be companies that are trying to get you to apply for a credit card. You do not want to apply for all of the credit cards. We'll start there. So what is a credit report? The credit report contains information about your borrowing history. Lenders and other people will use this information to report what you've borrowed, how much you've repaid, and other details about your borrowing behavior. Your credit report basically tells someone what your character is. Are you going to be on time? Are you going to pay the bill at all? So it's very important to start at a young age focusing on your credit report. Okay. Now, who uses a credit report? Obviously, banks and other lenders will use a credit report if you are looking to buy your first home, if you're looking for a home equity loan, personal loans, car loans, so your car loan providers. What some people don't know, utility companies and cell phone companies, they will also pull your credit report. Credit card companies, of course, will pull your credit report. Some employers might want to pull your credit report in the future, and landlords. So basically what this is saying is anything that you need to do to live, to buy a home, to rent a home, to have a cell phone, your credit is important, and it's going to tell you how much you will pay. This is an example of a credit report. So what this will tell you, your name, your personal information, including your social security number, your date of birth, your addresses, your most recent employment information. And then down at the bottom, it's going to show all of your creditors. So the first example is American Express. It will tell you, is that revolving credit, which means you can continue to borrow from it like a credit card. It will tell you if it's a fixed credit, like a car loan that you pay for 7 years and then it is done. It tells you the balance that you owe on there, and it actually tells you how many times you've been late. So, you know, all of these companies are pulling this credit report and can see everything about every creditor you've ever had. Okay. So we like to show this chart. A lot of people ask me all the time at the bank, what goes into my FICO score? You know, what's the most important thing for me to focus on? The most important, without a doubt, is going to be your payment history. It's very important, no matter what you are budgeting for, that your bill payments come first. Why? Because 35% of your credit report deals with your payment history on credit cards, your home equity loans, anything you have out there. Amounts owed is your next, you know, biggest tier. If you have a credit card and you have ones that your creditor provides you with, that is not good. You want to use credit cards just like you would, you know, with a debit card, and try to pay back at least 30% generally is what I hear you should pay back each month. You don't want to pay the minimum balance. Also, new credit. So for every new credit you open, credit cards, personal loans, that's 10% of your credit score. The types of credit, if you have nothing but revolving loan, that's not always good. You want to have a mixture of credit cards, maybe a home equity loan, something that you're due to pay back within 5, 10, 15 years. And last but not least, length of credit history. So it's not good to take the 0% interest credit cards every time you get offered one. The reason I say that is if you don't close those, they will all show up on your credit report as open credit. If you just use the ones that are 0% as you're getting approved for them, you don't have a very long length of credit history on the cards that you're using. So choose a good card that you're comfortable with, that you get good rewards for, with a company that you trust, and keep it. And that will help you better your credit score. All right, next slide then. So what is good credit versus bad credit? We could probably still play the game with chat here. If you can tell me who will get the better rate on a car loan, Vanessa, who has a credit score of 741, or Monica, who has a credit score of 599. Vanessa, yes. Very good. Who will likely have a better credit score? James, who pays his bills on time every month. He's never missed a payment. Or Trina, who always pays her bills on time, but she did, however, miss the due date on her car note 3 months ago and has since caught up. James, good. Who would have the better credit score between Elizabeth, who has a Visa with a credit limit of $1,000. Her balance is $440. She pays each month on time, and she has no other credit cards. Or Charles, who has a MasterCard with a limit of $500, a current balance of $83, also a car loan with a monthly payment of $300 and a balance of $5,000. He pays on time every month. Charles. Very good. All right. And Emily can go to the next slide. So this is a link. Please feel free to write it down, screenshot it, whatever you need to do. You are entitled to get an annual credit report every year. And I encourage you to check your credit report every year. Even you high schoolers, you may not have ever applied for credit, but unfortunately, everyone has to be aware of identity theft. And so you should know what is on your credit report. So www.annualcreditreport.com is what Dollar Bank usually advises our customers to check. You can also call the number on there, but you should do this regularly. Choose a date and every year set yourself a reminder that you are checking this credit report. Give you a minute to write it down or check that off. Does anybody already check their credit report, or has anybody checked their credit report? Good. Okay, and is there a next slide, Emily?
I believe so. Oh, no, just kidding.
Okay. The last thing I want to say about credit is, like Emily said, it goes along hand in hand with budgeting. Whether you have a credit card with a limit of $10,000 or not, you want to know what you're spending. It is not free money. It's very important for your credit history to keep track of what you're spending and how you're making those payments. And also keep track of your history. Make sure that you are monitoring your credit cards for activity that you have not done. It's very important that you check that, because if someone has a hold of your credit card, it can wreck your credit. Frank said we had a young player at a team I worked for, and he had 15 credit cards open on his credit report that were not ones he opened. Yeah, Frank, it happens more than you think, and it's very hard to get yourself out of that if it takes a long time for you to figure out that it's been going on. So the sooner you catch that, honestly, the better. Does anyone have any questions about credit? I know we went over a lot in a short amount of time. Okay.
So
Emily, Krista, could you talk a little bit, you talked early on about that 10% in the savings, and, even like the lottery, right? Like, instead of putting the $500 into the lottery, if you were to put it into a savings account, just how valuable like time is in terms of like building that wealth number up, especially for young people who are, in their teens. If they're to start that at, 20 versus at 40, how much more powerful that could be in terms of savings.
Yeah, absolutely. That could be powerful enough to say that you will feel comfortable retiring when you're supposed to retire. When you have a savings account that is built up, and when you have that cushion, it gives you the ability to do things that you wouldn't be able to do before. For example, retire on time. It's so important, and it doesn't have to be that 10% to start. It's just a tool. It's just a number that we use. It's fortunately a number that you can start doing, $10, $20 a week and up that to $400, $500 a month. You can really work with that number. If 1 month, you're going to be short, or you have to get your car inspected or something like that, it's nice to know that you can always adjust that number. And that is something that we offer here at the bank. But it can mean when you can retire or not, Jeff. It's a very powerful tool, and it's a very powerful recommendation that we give.
Yeah, I was saying earlier that tool is so important. I mean, because it's very similar to what you would do with a retirement account at your job, right? If it's automatically going into your savings and you don't need to think about doing that every month, now you're not spending that money on the extra coffee or the new shirt or whatever else it might be, and you're actually putting it towards your future. Love that you guys have that tool.
Absolutely. It's one of our favorite, and we use it, I would say, more frequently on our younger generation and our younger customers than we do, on the older customers, because it is something that, and the kids come in there. So when younger kids come in, they're super excited to save. So that makes us really excited too. They're the ones who want to take advantage of that program. So it's good to see. Krista, somebody had a question about multiple credit cards. I don't know if you wanted to take.
Yeah. So I'm assuming you said you're one of the parents, right? So are you wondering how your daughter should start, getting credit? Yes. Okay. So what we would recommend, that you don't want them to really have multiple credit cards. I would start with one credit card. Now, if they're high school age, you would have to be on that credit card with them. What we recommend at Dollar Bank, Emily had mentioned it earlier, is our secured credit card. What the secured part is, we have you open a savings, you choose your limit, let's say it's $300. You put $330 in a savings account, we place those funds on hold, you still earn interest on it, and then we send you a card, your child can spend up to $300 and make a payment every month, and we report that to the credit bureaus. So it's secured by your own funds, and it's teaching them how to use a credit card responsibly, because it's very easy to open a credit card, your first credit card, go out with friends, buy $5 at McDonald's, go shopping, accidentally spend $300. We've all been there. So I think that the secured card is definitely the way to go, and it's also a guaranteed way to get a credit card in your name, because you have to have the money to have a credit card. Okay, so they have a checking account. It has the ability to allow them to save, but they have a debit card. The debit card will not be reported to the credit bureau. So what you could do, I don't know what bank you're with, but you could always ask if they offer a secured credit card. This would be about that opportunity where you want to put 10% or $10 a month aside, help save so that you can use that secured card. Capital One. I'm not sure what they offer, but the secured card, it is out there, and it is a good way to start. Now, like I said, if you want them to have a regular credit card, a parent or guardian would have to be on the card with them. They won't do a credit card for anyone under 18 on their own. Does that help answer your question? You're welcome. Any other questions?
Yeah, if anybody has any question about anything.
And you're all welcome to email us, call us with any questions you might have if you think of anything afterwards. We really believe that they should be taught as early as kindergarten. We go in with junior achievement and teach as young as kindergartners, and it's important to do that. So if you ever have questions, we are here for you.
And the one thing we like to end with, and we don't like to call it homework, I know it's summertime, but we like to just call it a little summer challenge for families. What we would like for you to do is select 2 or 3 different careers that you're thinking about, and we want you to research it, check out the average annual salary, and go through that budget. Pick your car, pick your type of transportation that you're going to need, pick your how often you're going to grocery shop and where. It is a great tool to use for families and for when you're thinking about your future career. It gives you the opportunity to sit down and really look at what your options are and really look at what your future would be. And it's kind of eye-opening. We've even had people add, are you going to have a pet? Are you not going to have a pet? Are you going to have a brand new Jeep Wrangler, or are you going to have mom or dad's used Oldsmobile that's in the garage? But we really recommend that you do that with those budgeting sheets that we gave you. And if anybody makes a budget and they have any questions, or they want to email it to Krista and I to look at, we're more than happy to give you advice. We're more than happy to help you put it together. But that is a really fun just a really fun opportunity to sit down with your family and explore careers and salaries and, kind of help you plan for the future. So if everybody would like to do that, you're more than welcome to use our budgeting forms that we gave you. That's great that you do that with your daughter. It's so important. It's just so important because, like we said, they're going to get those credit card applications early, and they're going to need to make decisions about, you know, buying cars. And, you know, the reality is now if you have a job and you have a pay stub, you can go buy a car. So that's kind of scary when you think about it, you know, so it is important to talk to your children about that. So I think that's great that you do that.
Yeah, and again, Emily, I thank you for that tool. I think to your point, that's an exercise that I've had with my family, is having that discussion around it, right? Just helps everybody kind of understand where you're at and what things are wants and what things are needs. When you've got a tool, and really, again, budgeting is just helping you plan for what's down the road so that there aren't surprises. It could really change what's left over at the end of the month, just because you're talking about it, you're aware of it, you're planning for it.
Right, and it can be something super simple as changing whether or not you're going to drive to college or you're going to take the bus to college. You know, those things can really make a difference. So it's nice to sit down and really, you know, work it out as a family so there's no surprises. And the really nice things about budgeting, I think, Jeff, you mentioned it in the chat, is you can always change it. You can always rework it. You can always add or take out more. So it's a really good tool to have it written down.
Excellent.
Yeah, I like that analogy. That's great.
Yeah. The other thing I want to mention, there are apps you can get on your cell phone too to help you budget if you're technology savvy. I know there's a few out there, so search them, see which ones you like, which ones, you know, help your lifestyle. So I definitely encourage anyone to get those now and start your budget now.
And start saving now for sure. Now is the prime time of your life to start saving. You know, while you don't have very many, you know, things in your life that you have to pay for right now, or very many things that you have to put money out towards, now is the time to save for sure. If you save it and you move it and you don't see it, then you likely won't touch it. So definitely start, you know, attaching those savings accounts and moving that money over. We even recommend sometimes that you open a separate savings that you get no card to, you have no access to, that you can simply just move money into. And we do that a lot too for a handful of our customers. So there's options, but hopefully these tools will give you the ability to learn and budget and look into your future.
Amazing. Well, thank you both very much. Again, a lot of interesting information just to kind of set students' minds to, just to be aware of and start knowing that they can research it. You laid out a lot of nice, easy tools where they can start. And I am certain that this will be a heavily viewed presentation, especially over the next couple weeks as we start sending this information out. Students can kind of share it with parents and kind of sit down and discuss it. So thank you, both Emily and Krista, and thank you to Frank and the Dollar Bank in general for supporting our efforts here and for you know, helping to educate our students today.
Absolutely, it was our pleasure. Thank you. And please call or email us with any questions at all. We're here for all of you.
Excellent.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everybody.